He is Spanish guy. Hey there, Spanish learners. It's great to see you again. Last time in Adjectives Part 1, we talked about adjectives generally follow except for uno, bueno, and malo. And our good friend, Master Jedi Yoda, stopped by to help us learn that. He explained to us that you talk backwards. You say girl, tall, boy, short, teacher, interesting. And the only three adjectives or description words that go in front are forms of uno, bueno, and malo. Thanks again, Yoda, for coming by to help out. Teach I do. Yes. Alright, let's glance at that chant again. Adjectives generally follow except for uno, bueno, malo. Now remember, it's not just the number one that goes in front. All numbers. Dos chicas, muchas chicas. All forms of good go in front of nouns. Good girls, better girls, the best girls, and all forms of bad. He's a bad boy. He's a worst boy. He's the worst boy. All forms of uno, bueno, malo go in front. Use the chant. Use the chant. That just never gets old. Now, today we're going to grapple with a problem. Why do adjectives or description words have 4 different endings? Now that seems like a reasonable question. We don't do that in English. We say tall boy, tall girl. There's not a big change. But now let's look at this. Let's start by looking at all 4 forms of one word. Tall, which is alto in Spanish. Alto is a tall boy. Alta, with an A, is a tall girl. Altos, like the candy, altos are tall boys, and altas are tall girls. Well, Spanish guy, how am I going to remember when to have O, and when to have A, and when to have OS, and when to have AS? If all 4 of these mean tall, which one do I use when? It's a good question. Let's start by talking about one boy. When we describe one boy, the adjective or description word must end in O. Here's a chant to help you get your head wrapped around this, Spanish learners. Everybody listen and repeat. Oh boy. Again. Oh boy. So the word for rich is rico. Rico with an O means it's a rich boy. Bajo means short. Bajo with an O actually means a short boy. Gordo means fat. So if you have a friend named Gordon, don't call him Gordo, because you're going to be calling him fat boy. Gordo means a fat boy. But Mr. Hult, don't adjectives or description words sometimes end in A? Yes. If you're describing a girl, the description word ends in A. So, when we describe a girl, the adjective or description word must end in A. So here's the chant. It's a girl. Visualize your mom or dad just had a baby, and you call up, or grandma calls up and says, is the baby a boy or girl? And your dad says, it's a girl. What do you say that? It's a girl. So rica is a rich girl. Mr. Spanish guy, I thought rico meant rich. Rico is a rich boy, but rica is a rich girl. Bajo was a short boy. Baja with an A is a short girl. Gordo was a fat boy. Gorda is a fat girl. So anytime you're describing a girl, the adjective will end in A. Now, we don't always just describe one person. Sometimes we describe a whole group of people, like a bunch of Jedis or something. What do we do if we're describing a bunch of boys or several boys? Then the adjectives or description words must end in OS. Ricos is rich boys, plural. Bajos is short boys, plural, and gordos is fat boys, plural. Spanish guy, I'm very confused. You said when you're describing a boy, it ends in O. Think of a teeter-totter. If you have an O on one side of the teeter-totter, you have to have an O on the other side of the teeter-totter. Otherwise, bonk, you teeter, but you don't totter. Now, if you're describing chicos, what are the last 2 letters of chicos? OS. So you have chicos on one side of the teeter-totter. What does bajo have to turn into? Bajos. So think of a teeter-totter. Or, if you have 2 girls on one side of the teeter-totter, what are the last 2 letters of chicas? AS. Well, if you're describing them, what are the last 2 letters of short have to turn into? AS. So it's be chicas, bajas. So again, think of a teeter-totter. It has to be balanced. So boys, shorts. Girls, talls. Or another way to look at it is think of a mathematical equation. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do the same thing to the other side of the equation. Life has to be balanced, okay? So, if you're describing boys, it ends in OS. If we're describing several girls, the adjective ends in as. So ricas are rich girls. Bajas are short girls. And gordas are fat girls. Don't ever refer to girls as gordas. They'll get all fired up. Well, I guess that's all for now, Spanish learners. Until next time, remember, use the force.